In the spring of 1992, the Bombay Stock Exchange was the hottest market on earth. It had quadrupled in a year, and most of the rocket fuel was coming from one man. They called him the Big Bull. Newspapers photographed his sea-facing penthouse and his fleet of imported cars. What nobody asked loudly enough was the only question that mattered. Whose money is this? The answer, when it surfaced, knocked half the value off the entire Indian stock market, rewrote the country's financial laws, and ended in a jail cell. It was the bank's money, nearly all of it. By the end of this file, you'll understand the piece of paper that made it all possible and how money meant to sit in government bonds ended up chasing stocks. You'll see the 15-day window that nobody was watching, and the strangest legacy in this series, the scam that forced a country to build a modern market. This is Vanished Billions. Open the file. Harshad Mehta came to Bombay with almost nothing. He sold hosiery, sorted diamonds, and finally found the trading ring of the stock exchange, working his way up from errand runner to broker. He was charming, tireless, and utterly convinced that India was about to boom. And in 1991, India itself changed. The economy liberalized. Foreign money loomed. Optimism was suddenly government policy. A rising market needed a face, and Mehta gave it one, preaching that shares of cement and steel companies were wildly underpriced for the new India. His favorite stock, a cement maker, rose from around 200 rupees to roughly 9,000. When analysts asked how that could possibly be justified, he offered a theory about replacement cost. The market didn't care about the theory. It cared that whatever he touched went up. By early 1992, he was not a broker anymore. He was a movement. Crowds gathered outside his office for a glimpse. His stock tips traveled the country faster than the newspapers that printed them. Housewives, clerks, and retirees borrowed money to follow a man they had never met. In a market that new, faith was the only research most people had. So where does a broker find that kind of firepower? Not from clients, from banks. And to understand how, you need one lesson, so let's go to the board. Indian banks were required to hold government securities. They constantly lent these securities to each other for cash, in short deals that would reverse in a couple of weeks. A broker sat in the middle of each deal, matching bank to bank. The securities themselves rarely moved. Instead, the selling bank handed over a piece of paper, a bank receipt, an IOU saying the securities exist, we hold them for you. The entire system ran on those receipts being true. Now watch the machine. Mehta persuaded banks to route their deals through him, and checks were made out in his name, not the counterparty banks. For up to 15 days, enormous sums of bank money sat in his accounts. 15 days is nothing unless you know exactly where to put it. He put it into the stock market. Bank money bought shares, shares rose, rising shares drew in the public, and the public's buying pushed prices higher still, which made the big bull look like a prophet, which brought in more deals and more 15-day windows. A perpetual motion machine running on other people's floats. And when even the float wasn't enough, investigators found, the paper itself gave way. Some cooperating banks issued bank receipts against securities that did not exist at all. The IOU that held up the entire money market became, in certain hands, a printing press. Add it together, real bank money, diverted through a broker's account, fake receipts, conjuring money that was never there. All of it flowing into a market that only knew one direction. The boom everyone was celebrating was, in large part, the banking system's balance sheet wearing a costume. And where were the guardians? The committee reports read like an autopsy. Bank reconciliations ran months behind. The ledgers tracking government securities were a handwritten mess. Confirmations were taken on trust between old colleagues. The system was not defeated by genius. It was defeated by its own paperwork, moving at the speed of 1965. It ended the way these files usually end, not with a regulator, with a journalist. In April 1992, reporter Sucheta Dalal broke the story that the State Bank of India could not account for hundreds of crores in securities, and that the trail led to Mehta's office. The thread was pulled and the sweater came apart in weeks. Banks demanded their securities. The securities were paper. The paper was, in crucial cases, air. The Sensex halved. The government appointed committees in a special court, and the numbers they found still define the word scam in India. Roughly 4,000 crore rupees, more than $1 billion at the time, drained from the banking system. One state bank chairman's career ended. One bank employee took his own life. Small investors who had borrowed to buy the boom were wiped out in a season. The costume came off, and underneath was everyone's savings. The scandal climbed all the way to the top of Indian politics. At a packed press conference, Mehta claimed he had personally delivered a suitcase of cash to the sitting prime minister. The prime minister denied it. The claim was never proven in any court, but the image of that suitcase never left the country's memory, and the affair became a full parliamentary inquiry. Mehta was arrested, released, re-arrested, and spent the rest of the decade in courtrooms. Of the dozens of cases filed, one conviction was secured in his lifetime. In late 2001, in judicial custody, he died of a heart attack. He was 47. Most of the cases died with him. Now the ledger. The official whole, about 4,000 crore rupees, recovered over the following decades through the special court and asset sales, a meaningful fraction, painfully slowly. The Bombay flat and the cars were auctioned. The banks absorbed the rest, which means, in the end, the public did. And here's the detail the word scam hides. Much of the money was not sitting in anyone's vault at the end. It had burned in the very market it inflated. Positions bought at the top, collapsing with everything else. The float was real, the fake receipts were real, but a great share of what they bought simply evaporated when the music stopped. But this file has a second ledger, and it is the strangest one in our series. The scam humiliated India's financial system into rebuilding itself. The securities regulator got real teeth. An electronic exchange rose to break the old trading ring's monopoly. Paper certificates gave way to electronic settlement. The modern Indian market, the one 1 billion people invest in today, was built substantially out of the wreckage of 1992. Set this beside the other files: a token, a demo, unreachable profits, a statement printer, a warm vault, and now a bank receipt. 6 files, 6 different masks over the same face. Every fraud is a forgery of verification. The big bull just did it with the oldest instrument of all, a piece of paper that said, "Trust me." So the last lesson on the board belongs to every saver in every country. A boom that cannot explain where its money comes from is not a boom. It is a countdown. Ask the question early while it is still rude to ask. New forensic files every Tuesday and Friday. The frauds, collapses, and heists the money world would rather forget. Subscribe if you want to know where the money went.